Before we dive into today's episode, Vic, we have got a quick little message from our friends over at Remi Marketplace, which is a place where your wardrobe can be stylish and sustainable, which is something I just feel should be, no, it should kind of just, they should go hand in hand, but they just don't always, do they?
No, they don't. It's crazy to think that the world produces 92 million tons of textile waste per year. It's the size of, say, Eden Park or Wembley Stadium every single day.
Oh my God. Like the fact that the world, I mean, it doesn't have enough space for that much waste, but it's like every day, if that's how much is being produced, where on earth is it going?
And this is why Remi Marketplace is so good, because they're flipping the script on fast fashion by making second-hand shopping super chic and totally guilt-free, which we love.
So my passion in life, well, not my only, but one, is finding a vintage gem. You know, when you're in a shop and you're like, oh my, no one's going to have this.
No one's going to have it.
Like the other day I found this really cool, you know, my pleated skirt, the tartany one.
Yeah.
But it was obviously secondhand. It was like £6. It's now my favourite new skirt.
And your green coat?
Yep, my green coat. Actually, all my favourite pieces in my wardrobe are secondhand.
Love that.
You know, the yellow coat that I bought?
Yes.
That was vintage. It's so.
What about those sunglasses?
These are yours, which I have to give
they're
back.
secondhand.
Oh my God, they're secondhand technically. But you can head over to Remi Marketplace. You can find your next favourite outfit. Let's all do what we can to try and reduce the amount of waste in the world. You can still look cool, have a great outfit, but not feel guilty about it. So if you want to find out more, you can find the link to go and check it out in the link in our show notes. Welcome to Raising the Curve, a podcast designed to teach you everything that you need to know to be better with your money. Come and learn alongside me, Sophie Hallwright, a total beginner, from the finance expert, Victoria Harris.
So I've asked all of the questions you wish you could so that finance, investing and growing your wealth actually makes sense.
Yes, it's expert education, but that we promise will not be boring.
And in the wise words of Cher,
my mom said to me, you know, sweetheart, one day you should settle down and marry a rich man. And I said, Mom, I am a rich man.
Come and talk and learn and laugh with us, because together we really can raise the curve. I know that this is very Reese Maston of me. Do you remember Reese Maston?
What is that?
So when I used to work in... I love when you do that, Vase. So, you know, when I used to work in radio, you would meet actual celebrities and then you would meet wannabe celebrities. And I will never forget the day that Reese Maston, he won like Australian Idol or something, turned up for an interview thinking he was God's gift to the world, wearing sunglasses inside. He had like aviators on during the interview.
You feel like him.
And I feel like him right now. I'm wearing sunglasses while recording this podcast.
That must be the cringest thing.
It was so embarrassing.
When it's like, stop trying to be someone more famous than you are because you're not.
It's
and
too
then
bright
now,
in here.
I'm like, who the hell is even Reese Maston?
He does like real punk rock, terrible music.
Lovely.
Anyway, the point of today's episode is to talk about our wardrobes as investments. And I just happened to find Victoria's very stunning sunglasses next to me. So I've just put them on for getting into character.
Yeah. Do you feel good?
I do. I really
feel like
do.
me?
I feel expensive. I feel chic. I feel hot. I feel all the things.
I wish I felt like that when I put sunglasses on.
You look like that, I promise.
Thanks. Thanks, babe.
I think that
Stop it.
this is something that we haven't talked about a lot in terms of fashion, clothes, investing and things. We get asked all the time where stuff we wear is from. And it's sometimes I don't know how to respond, because a lot of the things that I buy actually are secondhand.
Yeah.
And some, what were you about to say?
No, I just, even just like the topic of this podcast is making me feel a bit funny.
Really?
Well, it's just like, why do we feel guilty or uncomfortable spending money or talking about how much things cost, or, you know, like I'm instantly like, oh, don't ask me how much I spend on clothes.
Really?
You know, it's this weird, but I have to wear clothing. I can't walk around naked.
But it also comes down to, I think, and this is something that, I mean, I'm still kind of trying to figure out, but in terms of when you feel good spending money and when you feel bad spending money, some people will spend money on clothes, bags, sunglasses and feel really great about it.
Yeah.
Some people will feel horrendous and embarrassed and not want to talk about it. And the fact that you're even feeling a bit cringy is probably a big sign you need to look at.
I know.
Sorry to be all welcome to my office.
It's almost like, it's like, you're about to be told off or something.
No, No, because if that's how
Not
you
told
want to
off,
spend your
sorry.
money, I'm like, go for it. But
Yeah.
if you feel a little bit guilty, it's not a great feeling.
No, I think it's when you know you can do better. That's
How-
the kind of energy I'm feeling right now.
Okay, what is making you feel like that? When you spend money on clothes, how do you feel?
Literally, this is quite timely, this episode, because in the last couple of weeks, I've been like, Vic, you have so many clothes you don't wear that they've almost become new again because you haven't worn them for so long.
Like
the other
that
day,
dress.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, love it. Where's that from? And I was like, the back of the wardrobe, literally. But I just haven't, it's a bitch to iron, so I just haven't really got around to ironing it and wearing it. But yeah, I did feel like I had a new dress on. And that's the feeling I want, whether it's a new piece of clothing or not. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
and I think that you get that feeling whether something's brand new, whether it was $5, $500, that the feeling of having something new is really exciting.
And everyone's different. Like someone might save up and spend a lot of money on a designer handbag and that's amazing for them, or get a bonus from work and splash out on a new coat or something like that because it's like a sense of achievement and you do you know that's great. Other people might want to put that money aside for something else, another goal of a financial goal that they're saving for, which is great as well. It's like, who are you to judge? As long as we are making sure we are still spending within our means, saving for our 20-year holiday, all of that, then stop judging people, really. Yeah. You never know what other people are spending money on or what expenses they've got, what their income is.
So you are saving towards your short-term, long-term goals. You are on track to be retiring with, a decent amount. Why do you feel guilty when talking about this or buying clothes?
Because I could be doing better. But that's just me in general.
But see, that's quite interesting in itself, isn't it? Because I think the problem is that if we're always feeling like that, then are you even enjoying what you're spending money on? Like, are you actually, because I don't know, I think sometimes we can be our own worst enemy if it comes to like constantly feeling like you're not doing good enough. Like, you're so good with your money. If of every single person I know, if you want to go and spend money on new sunglasses, a bag, shoes, I would never be like, that was irresponsible. So why do you feel like that?
I don't know. It's so funny though when you're like, is that a new dress? I'm like, no.
I know, because I always wonder why.
It's so fun. I think it's, my mum used to do it. She'd be like, oh, new bag? I'd be like, no, I just borrowed it from a friend. Like, it's like this weird reaction to like, I don't know. It's crazy because I've got bills to pay. So it's like, why should I be spending money on clothes? But I can pay
You
those
always
bills.
celebrate me if I bought something new.
Yeah, because you don't buy stuff. So when you do, it's like, yay, welcome to my world.
I don't know, I guess like when I spend money on clothes or shoes or things like that, I don't know where it comes from, but I feel that's the main place where like a feeling of lack comes up for me. When spending money on organic food and plain organic or whatever, I can do that no problem. Most people would feel really guilty about spending £12 on an almond butter, but I'm fine with it. When it comes to going and spending £300 or even £150 on clothing,
Yeah.
it really gets me feeling uncomfortable and guilty. And I think that's why
I think if it's in your budget, then it shouldn't. I don't know. I think it might be a female thing, just feeling guilty about spending money on nice things, which we've spoken about before, like in terms of why is it that we can't openly say we want nice things or we want to drive nice cars, we want to go on nice holidays. Like
I mean, like you're buying it for yourself.
Yeah.
You're not being like, Mum, pay for my thing. You know what I mean though? It's like there's no element of like asking other people to pay for things for you.
It's your own hard-earned money. I feel guilty spending money on anything really. Like even going to the groceries, I'm like, oh, but I have to eat.
Did you always feel like that, or has it been on a lower salary that you feel like that?
I think it's because I have a lot more financial obligations now, whereas back when I was younger, it didn't matter if I splurged on fashion because I didn't have a mortgage or I didn't have a pet or I didn't have, like there wasn't other commitments, whereas now it's like, oh God.
Do you remember how old you were when you first had to start buying your own clothes? How did it work in your house when you were younger?
Yeah, I remember begging because I had an older sister and she had an allowance. Like I think it was when we turned 16, we got a monthly allowance we could now go buy clothes that we wanted without getting permission from mum and dad, which was like amazing at the time. And I remember begging my parents when I was 3 years younger than her at the same time to get an allowance so that I could have the freedom to spend money on what I wanted.
How old would you have been?
Like 13? No, sorry. No, she was 13, so I would have been like 11. Yeah.
Imagine a little 11-year-old Vic wanting to go buy her wardrobe.
And then I did the paper round so that I could have my own money. Like I was like very like, I don't want my mum and dad to be telling me where I can and can't spend money. So I want to have my own allowance. It was for things like the movies and stuff as well. You know, like I just wanted that freedom. And so, yeah, I remember that. I remember HBK. Yeah, it was like owned by Hallenstein's Glassons, I think. It was way back in the day. And I had these pedal pushers and I fucking loved them.
Pedal pushers?
Pedal pushers,
What
like
are they?
3/4 length
Oh,
tight pants
capris.
that like ended at the knee
No.
with little diamantes on the side, a little split. Oh, loved them. And a reversible puffer vest, like a guy in finance vest.
Did you
but it was
buy it
reversible.
yourself at 11?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. I was like stoked. And I mean, I had a job at 11. I did the paper round and then I was working at a cafe at 13 because I just like wanted my own money. I wanted to spend money how I wished and not like ask people for permission. And I saw my sister doing it and I was just like, I want to be like her. Everything at that age, I wanted to be like her.
Maybe this is a reason why there's so much hang up for me in buying expensive clothes, because I would go and buy like little crocheted vests Point is, I spent way too much money on clothes. I was really trying to keep up with people and like my friends who had expensive things. And so I think I really overextended myself when I was younger. I put so much pressure on my parents to help me like keep up with the crowd that maybe it's like delayed punishment for that. That's why I struggle so much to spend money on clothes now. But it's weird because I have this memory, like this would have been about 5 years ago. And I went, you know, Ruby, it's like a New Zealand fashion label.
Oh, yeah.
I actually still have the dresses, that like Barbie pink linen long
Oh, you wore it the other
dress.
day?
Yeah, like I still wear it.
Wow. Was that your first?
No,
was
no,
like,
it wasn't my
geez.
first memory, but this is just an example of when I felt anxious. I remember I spent £150 for like 300 New Zealand and I brought it home and I remember showing my sister and she was like, wow, it's cool. Like, how much was it? And I was like, $300. And I felt so guilty about it that I was like, I should take it back tomorrow. I'm going to take it back tomorrow. And that's kind of how I feel when I invest in expensive things.
Yeah.
And I get the same feeling, like excited. I love this feeling from something that's vintage. So I think maybe that's why I prefer to buy things that are secondhand, because I feel better about it from an environmental standpoint, but also I have that same like excited, love what I'm wearing, feel really confident in it when I've spent less money.
Yeah.
I almost feel better than when I've spent heaps on something. So I don't know. I mean, that's like kind of interesting even in itself, like to think about. Because it's not that I don't buy expensive brand new things. Sometimes I do, but like not very often.
I just have a few brands that God, I sound like such a bore, but I just have like a few brands that I buy clothes from that I know. I don't really venture out. I don't really go vintage shopping. I think it's more a time thing, you know, like I follow a few brands that I like and I'll buy stuff from them.
You know
And
your style.
I
and you
know
stick
my
to it,
size.
yeah.
I know my style, like all of that, rather than shopping around.
I get a bit experimental sometimes.
Like sometimes I'm like, I'd love to go to Oxford Street and just go shopping. I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah.
You know, like I think the thought of it I like, but then actually in reality I'm like, nah.
How do you feel once you've bought something expensive, you've had it for a few years, and then it's sat in your wardrobe? Because you've done a few like
Oh, yeah.
sales of things where you've almost like had like, you know, like an online, like you've just put it on your stories, whatever.
Yeah.
And the reason I ask is because if I spend money on something like I honestly, I could remember all of the things I've spent a lot of money on that were new clothes. Even 6 years later, if I'm not wearing it, I find it so hard to get rid of for way less money than what I bought it for. I don't know why, and I don't know what that is, but like there was this, it sounds like only I buy Ruby clothes, but I bought this Ruby jacket years ago. Honestly, it would have been over 10 years ago. I still remember the print. I still remember the style. I was like held on to it for years and years and years because I thought maybe it'll come back in fashion. Maybe I'll like it again. I spent so much on it. I can't just like sell it for $20.
I view it as like it's just money sitting in my wardrobe that I could be spending on something else I'm going to get way more wear out of, or spend on something else that's not clothing. Do you know what I mean? Like if I could sell something for $100, I'm like, I'd way rather that $100 than have it sit in my wardrobe, and I might wear it.
Really?
Also just like gathering so much shit. Like I hate having so much stuff. Do you know what I mean? Especially like moving countries and everything. You do big like clean outs. I don't know. Yeah. I'd rather sell it and get the money and then put that into something else. And then when I'm over that, sell that and buy something else, you know, like just kind of completely
You're a bit more detached, I think, with spending money on things than I am.
Yeah. I get really fucked off if I put a hole in it or a stain or something because then I'm like, there you go.
Well, actually, now you mention it, maybe that is why I don't, because I struggle so much literally, this top I'm wearing right now has got a giant hole in it.
Yeah.
But I spent so much on it that I can't bear to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And I do still love it, so I'll just fold over the hole and try and hide it.
There's actually really good alterations places that would be able to fix that.
Yeah, but you know me with admin, I'm not great at it.
But then it will look way nicer.
Yeah.
And then you could sell it.
But I think maybe that's a point though, is because I struggle to look after things. I lose them all the time.
Yeah.
Like things I really love. I remember being, oh God, I spent probably 500 New Zealand dollars on these horrific Versace sunglasses when I was like 14. And I remember shopping and I was probably like, I don't know, I'd had them for 2 weeks and I took them off, left them on a table in a shop, walked out, remembered half an hour later and was like, oh my God, my sunglasses, ran back and they'd gone.
Oh no.
You know, so that kind
Someone
of thing.
stole the Versace. You probably put them in the bin.
Yeah, fair enough. But you know, the point is, I think maybe for me, there's like, I just don't trust myself with things. I lose it, I misplace it, I ruin it.
Yeah.
So there's probably like the value of going and spending that much on something. It's just like
Not worth it.
when I know that I can't look after it, it doesn't feel like a good
fair.
use of money maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. That could be fair. I think I've also got really good recently in like, if there's pants that I don't like the color of and I never wear them, it's like, okay, dye them. Or if there's like this waistcoat I had, which I like hated the buttons, so I never wore it. So I just went and replaced the buttons.
That's
you know,
amazing.
like things where I'm like, don't just keep looking at it like a waste of space. Like either sell it or alter it. If it's something that's too long, get it shortened. Like, yeah, most things I just be like this jumper I actually fucking hate because it's so, it's so bobbly.
You can get bobbly removal
I know,
things.
I just need to do that. But every time I pull it out, I'm like, oh, I must bobble it.
Do you hate the jumper or you just
No,
hate
I
the bobble?
love the jumper.
Oh.
But again, this is quality. This was really expensive, but I was like coming to London. It's cashmere. It's like going to be fucking warm. Sorry, I stopped swearing. But it's bobbly. I hate it. I hate it.
You can get a
I've got a machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I just haven't had
that
time
is
to do it.
so weird. You always do stuff that I'm surprised. That's the sort of thing I would do. Wear
I know.
something a million times and I'm like, I hate it.
I just need to like sit in front of Netflix and bobble my jumpers.
Mm.
But like, for example, with this, it's like I would rather spend the money on a high quality cashmere jumper and just bobble it every now and then than buy a cheaper fast fashion, like $50 jumper that I put in the wash and it shrinks and then I can't wear it again, or has a hole in it and then I can't wear it again, or have to buy another one, you know, like this. But I think it does come down to taking care of it. I think that's the key thing. It's like you have to wash it appropriately. You have to store it appropriately. Try not to get stains or food on it.
Well, there's a lot of interesting stats around if you were to go and I've seen heaps of things on the internet as well where it's like, it might be like buying a shit pair of shoes for $10 every year actually ends up costing more in the long run than if you just went and spent more on something quality. But I think the thing for me is like going and spending a big lump sum on something because I haven't been super clever with my money in a way that I'm like, I don't know, I guess I don't often just have lump sums to go and spend on something nice, even though I see stats like that and I'm like, you know, you could buy quality pieces and actually save 50% over like a 10-year period if you were to just go and buy something expensive in the first place. But it's a privilege to have that money to spend in the first place.
Exactly. And that's the hardest thing is like, it depends what it is as well. Like sometimes my fashion changes or I'll not like something and want something different. And so it's like, in that sense, and maybe for you, it's like fast fashion or vintage is the best option because you find it difficult to take care of it or something like, you know, like in terms of feeling guilty about spending a lot of money on something and then not taking care of it. It's like, okay, let's just remove that and let's spend money on vintage or something that might be a bit cheaper to remove that like guilt. Because I personally, things that I wear all the time, like a handbag, for example, or sunglasses, like they're expensive items and like I will pay quality for those because I wear them all the time. So the cost per wear is like tiny. Whereas I've bought Zara stuff, for example, worn it once and then you wash it and the quality's not the same. You know, it's just like a bit like off and I won't wear them. And I'm just like, that's such a waste of money.
And space and waste.
Yeah, and all the things. So it's like the best outcome is like, I reckon high quality vintage stuff because it stood the test of time. It's unique. It's good for the planet. Like there's so many good things. It's almost like a spectrum. You got like cheap, shitty stuff, high quality vintage stuff, and you got high quality new stuff. You know, it's like, where do you fit on that spectrum?
It's actually a really good way to think about it. Because the thing is, I actually love the idea of buying quality things that are going to last, but I feel so guilty and sad when I ruin them or lose them, which just always happens. It's like, it doesn't matter how hard I try, that always happens, you know? Like even I bought that yellow vintage coat that I bought.
Did you lose it?
No, I didn't lose it, but I went into Mecca and I was, not Mecca, some random makeup place over here, and I was trying something on and I accidentally dropped like one of those little twilly things that you use to try and put, you know, try on an eyebrow. And I just put it, and it was honestly, it was the first day I wore it. And then there's like a stain on the side. And I took it actually to get dry cleaned, which is massive for me because I often just like can't be bothered. And it didn't come out. And I was so gutted with myself. And it wasn't even super expensive. So it's like, it is a really good idea to think, okay, because back to what you said at the beginning about fashion being, or clothes or buying stuff being kind of frivolous or superficial, it does make you feel good. I feel amazing when I'm in an outfit that I feel confident. The energy I bring to the world and people is so different. But it's about finding what is that cost versus, you know, like where do you sit on the spectrum of what type of shopping or investments should you be making?
Like those sunglasses.
The ones I'm wearing.
I remember buying them. And
Where are they from?
Bottega.
Yeah. But why do you feel embarrassed? You wear them all the time.
I know. And I remember buying them and like I was like, oh nah, like they're expensive. Like, and they're not like,
how much would they have been at the time?
They're like $400 or something.
New Zealand.
Yeah.
See, that's not actually that bad.
No,
for
I know,
sunglasses.
but I remember being like, I don't really need
Yeah,
that.
you had heaps
like,
of the time.
I've got so many pairs of sunglasses and I was like, oh, do I really need them? But now I'm like, every time I go to wear a different pair of sunglasses, I'm like, nah, I'll wear these ones, you know, like, so the cost per wear. And then I remember buying some other sunglasses, which were pretty similar price, and I hate wearing them. Like I literally would rather blind my eyes.
Which ones are they?
The big brown ones.
Oh, do you not like those?
I hate them. But I'm like, you know what? They're still in good condition. I may as well sell them quickly now.
So you have sold them?
I'm going to sell them. Yeah, because I'm just like, I'd rather have that money to spend on something else.
Which ones are they? What brand are they?
Louis Vuitton.
Oh,
they're like,
yes.
They're very cool, but they're
cool, but like, do you feel good in them?
Every time I see myself, like a photo of myself, or I'm just like, oh,
yeah,
I'd rather be wearing those ones. You know? So I'm kind of like, well, sell them, move on, so you don't like get a stab in the heart every time you see them on your dresser, you know?
So, okay, let's talk about that then.
Yeah.
How much did you buy those for when you got them?
About 400.
How much do you think you could sell them for if you got rid of them tomorrow?
Good question. If anyone wants to buy them, let me know. Maybe I'll just do a little secondhand marketplace.
It's actually quite funny.
Probably 300, I'd hope. Like they're still pretty like new season. They're in great conditions, no scratches, like anything. So I don't know. It totally depends.
And how long ago did you buy them?
8 months ago.
See, that's not that bad. In 8 months, losing 100 New Zealand,
I've worn them a
£50.
few times, yeah. I wanted to talk about like the moral dilemma that I know you have between like fast fashion, and I'm sure a lot of people do, is like, well, I can't afford expensive stuff, so therefore all I can afford is cheaper stuff. And I'm not saying that everything cheap is fast fashion, but like, how do you balance that dichotomy, I love that word, with buying stuff from like Zara and your huge Zara haul you did the other day versus the 700 gallons of water that it takes?
Honestly, it's not. I haven't got an answer for that in terms of having it all figured out. But I feel deeply guilty to my soul when someone's like, where's that from? And I'm like,
you know what? And
Zara,
it's always
H&M.
the Zara stuff that people will be like, I love your shoes. And I'm like, oh, why can't you like my top? It's not from Zara.
I know.
You know, it's like always the way. I'm like, oh.
So I feel guilty admitting that's where I've bought it from. I don't feel great when I'm in the shop, but I'm also not in a position to go and buy quality all the time and then replace it when I inevitably F it up. So I'm kind of in an interesting situation where like I feel really proud and excited where I can buy a piece of clothing or an accessory that is quality. But I bought sunglasses not that long ago for 150 quid. So like 300 New Zealand.
Yeah.
And I had them for less than a month and I lost them.
Yeah.
So it's really hard because it's like on one side I feel awful buying fast fashion. But on the other hand, I just like, it doesn't matter how much I love something, I cannot train my brain to not lose it. Like the other day, I didn't tell you this because I was so embarrassed. I was having a production meeting with Emily, our producer, and I just got a new Yume bag, like kind of moss green. Like I love it. I honestly took it for a walk just to wear it the other day because it was new and I felt excited. I just walked around East London wearing it with nothing in it because that's how much I loved it. We were at a meeting at the cafe and we got back to work and Emily was like, oh, your bag. And I'd left it on the back of a chair at a cafe and Emily, bless her heart, was like, do you want me to just run back? Because she could see the look of terror in my eyes. I was like, no, this is my problem. I need to go fix it. But it's like when you get annoyed at me for forgetting something or doing forgetting the SD cards, it's like it does not come from a place of not caring about something or not trying. It's like it actually is so embarrassing. I feel so shit about it. But so then if I look at the fast fashion versus quality, if I find a bag in Zara versus spending $500, $600 on a Yume bag,
you're going to do that. Yeah.
Well, it's just like it makes more sense for me financially.
Totally. Yeah.
And also from a waste perspective, if I'm just losing things or ruining them all the time, that's almost just as bad as going and buying fast fashion. So to be really honest, I'm not in a place where I know the answer. But
where do you get inspiration for your clothes?
There's this influencer that I really like. Her name's Vic Harris. And
that was such like lining up for a compliment.
Seriously though, I love your style. And I actually get real offended when you're like, but we've got such different style. And I'm like,
it's like a younger sister. I feel like that was me with my sister. And I'd be like buying exactly the same stuff. And she's just like, fuck off.
There's so many things.
But
we turned up the other day to go and look at our a new office space and we're both wearing the same shoes. And I just was like, I know Vic will be hating every second of this.
And we went to dinner the other night and we were wearing the same top and pants. And I was like,
to be fair, that's a Maggie Marilyn singlet. That wasn't exact. You can't claim that's really copying.
I know, but it's just funny when it's like.
It's not funny. I get how annoying it is.
No. It's funny
but
when.
It's hard.
It must be funny for other people and they're like, oh, do you guys like work together, friends together, dress together?
Well, okay, my question would be, or not question, my request would be if you see anything that you think I would look good in, please tell me. Because I don't often look.
I think it is. I know, I think it's a combination of like, it's flattering, but it's also
when you go spend money on something, you also want to not have the same as everyone else. I totally get that.
And you see it around and you're like, oh, cool. Yeah, I like that. You know, like definitely. It's kind of like Instagram and reality.
The problem I have is like, let's just say the new Harris Tappet season comes out and I'm like, oh, I love this and this. Vic has already ordered it, paid for it, and it's on its way to her house. So like sometimes when I want to buy something, it's like I'm not as onto it as you are. So it's in your wardrobe by the time I've seen it. So it's quite annoying.
Well, you should just combine wardrobes.
I mean, it's not a no from me.
It's not a no. Oh, gosh.
How do you feel about fast fashion versus vintage versus?
I'd love to go to a market and have a look around, but like if I want like a black winter coat, I'm not going to go trawling to vintage stores to find one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'd rather sit online or go to the brands that I know and just buy it.
Well, you're an efficiency gal. You know, you like to get your black coat when you want it.
But then I see people, like even my flatmate's got the most like gorgeous vintage stuff and I'm like, she's like, oh yeah, it's from this. And I'm like, oh, I wish I could. Yeah.
This podcast is actually sponsored by Remi Marketplace, which is a new marketplace in New Zealand to be able to get quality vintage finds, luxury brands. So
which is actually right up my alley because it means I can sit at home and look online and not have to trawl vintage stores or secondhand clothing stores.
Well, I think what's amazing about when you find a vintage shop, whether it be like a curated something that's in your style, it's so great because someone has done a lot of the legwork for you. I totally know what you mean. Going from spending an entire Saturday going from shop to shop, if you're specifically trying to find something, you don't want to spend heaps of money.
Yeah.
Can be exhausting. But I think if you go vintage shopping in that way, like you just suggested in terms of like going to like Notting Hill and having a look around shops, that kind of situation is really fun if you're doing it without needing something. If you're just manifesting, I want a cute headscarf, or like I'd love to find, that's fun. I think
stumbling across things and finding them, like whatever, if it's antiques or like anything like that, is quite fun.
If you're wanting specifically like 2 white t-shirts, a long black coat and some ballet flats.
Yeah,
it's maybe not the best approach, but if you have the openness and you're like, I want something new, but I don't know, something like Remi where you can go on and see what's there is like ideal.
Exactly.
I'd love to know with investing in fashion brands or companies, or when you look at it from like a business perspective, what you think, because there's the consumer side of fashion and then there's the business side. How do you feel about fashion businesses?
Yeah, I think there's quite a contradiction being a fashion brand and trying to be sustainable, because your whole business model is having an impact on the planet, a detrimental impact on the planet. And your whole business model is for people to consume, you to keep producing new exciting things, to keep people buying, coming back to store. So it's like, it's the same for a supermarket. Do you know what I mean? Like they produce a lot of food waste. Yes, we have to eat. It's kind of not the same actually. But like, do you know what I mean? Like their whole way they grow and make money is by people coming back again, again and again. And it's the same with fashion companies. This is why it kind of pisses me off when they're like, oh, we've released a new eco-friendly line. It's like, but your whole business model is about consumerism. It's like either you don't consume anything yourself or don't invest in retailers, or you try and do good for the planet in other ways, if that makes sense.
Like the fact that there is 150 billion garments produced each year.
Yeah.
And it's estimated that 20% of them
never get sold.
Aren't even sold.
I know.
Let alone worn and not used. Like that is just
the waste
absolutely
is insane.
150 billion every year.
I think it's more a society thing about embracing wearing things multiple times. Embracing wearing vintage, like even movie stars and actresses. It's like on the red carpet wearing the same dress that they wore to a previous premiere, or like things like that, you know? It's like, why does it have to be a new outfit every single time? I think it's kind of starting from there of like I remember this article on Kate Middleton. It was like, oh, she's worn this blue dress 4 times. It's like, and?
Kate.
It's like, why is that news? Like that should be the norm. It should be like she's got a new dress every time should be the news. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of making that more normalized, I think, is what would help solve the environmental impact of fashion.
You don't invest in, because we were having a look at some of the top fashion companies that are public, and LVMH is one that they've spoken about quite a bit, which is Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy. I can't ever say
Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy.
Thank you. Yeah. Which is valued at like $421 billion.
That's insane.
With something like that, would you invest in, or how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I invest in that. And I think for me, it's because it's luxury. It's not high turnover, it's quality. It's like people aren't buying a Louis Vuitton handbag
every 5 seconds.
Well, some people probably are, but it's like you're investing in quality, and it's not like the Urban Outfitters of the world, for example, which are churning out clothes for every festival that's launched in the UK or the US.
If you look at like what I think is quite interesting, if you look at some of the fast fashion like share prices, like Urban Outfitters at the moment, it's like $36, or how do you say that? Inditex, which owns like Zara and Berkshire and all of those, or Bershka, or however you say it.
Yeah.
$32 comparatively to LVMH's share price, which is $935. You know, it's like,
but what does that tell you?
No, I know you're saying share price is no indication of blah, blah, blah. It doesn't, but I guess it's more the idea that for me, what it tells me is if a share price is doing that much better, it's like a much more valuable stock and
how
company.
do you know it's done better?
What do you mean?
Just because it's more expensive. But LVMH could have IPO'd at $900 a share.
I mean, I guess the only reason I know this is because you've talked about LVMH and about all the different brands so it's like, I know it's diversified. It's got Celine. It's got all those different brands under the same umbrella.
But a share price by itself, like that, tells us nothing about.
So, well, then what would you take out of that if you look at like Urban Outfitters that's doing shit, or like Inditex that's doing shit?
That's the share price, but that doesn't tell us anything about how the performance of the company.
Yeah.
So like that 36, that could have been $1 yesterday and it's gone to 36, and that company's done fantastically well. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a share price alone tells you nothing about a company.
I just think it's interesting that it's so much lower. And
But it
it's
could have
also
IPO'd at like $1 and gone to 36. It's done fucking well. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to, do you understand? Like
No, I do.
The price doesn't tell you anything without context of the performance or context of the earnings growth. So it's like, I just remember mum always used to be like, oh, it's so expensive. I'm not going to buy that. I'm like, but it could be a really good stock versus one that's cheap that's done absolutely nothing. Or like, but that's a bad example. But like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. But what I would say that like Inditex has done fantastically well. And so is LVMH. Urban Outfitters is shitting itself. And I only know that because I've looked at the share price performance. What?
just like
Me?
just like the throwaway of shitting itself. Like if you think of something's shitting itself, like imagine if you're standing there shitting your pants.
But TJX I really like because it's got that.
Lots of people won't know what TJX is.
Yeah, so TJX, they own TK Maxx in the UK, and it's effectively, they're buying other brands and putting them in their stores. So they're buying like end of lines. They're buying probably that 20% of stock that never gets sold. You know, they're buying that and putting it in their stores and trying to sell it is kind of the overarching business model. So they're buying end of line stuff for real cheap and selling it to consumers before it goes to landfill. So I quite like that business model.
We actually spoke about that in the Investing Club.
Yeah.
For anyone who is not part of it.
But I also have to credit companies for like trying. Do you know what I mean? Like there's investor pressure, there's consumer pressure of like, you need to do better from an environmental standpoint. And so, you know, there is brands like Patagonia, which are like fantastic for the environment. There's companies bringing out sustainable lines. There's companies like Urban Outfitters has got a secondhand clothing marketplace offshoot as part of its company. So there is small progress, which is better than no progress. Yeah.
I think what this conversation has taught me is that I would prefer to invest in luxury and or quality vintage clothing.
Yeah.
Just because I think it will make me feel better environmentally as well as I get to wear like nice quality clothes.
Yeah.
I don't think investing in, unless it was LVMH, I don't think I feel overly excited about supporting companies in an investor way.
Yeah.
But like there was a stat, I can't remember where it was from, but the idea of like if I was to go, for example, it's nearly winter and I'm going to need to get a nice jacket or a warm jacket, and I could go and get, you know, like a budget £80 something, which would be way less durable and have probably worse materials, and
you'd
not,
probably get a cold and not come to work because you'd be sick.
Yeah,
and then not be able to holiday, not hang out with friends.
But also like the idea of if I was to replace that budget version,
Yeah.
like every 10 years, that's like,
It all comes down to planning. It's like, okay, cool. You do have winter coming up. Start putting money away for a nice wool winter coat and just like attach it to your wrist so that you don't lose it. Because like things like that, a good winter coat I invested in last year because I used to buy I actually didn't need hugely warm winter coats in Auckland, but in London you need good quality wool coats, which are expensive. And so I invested in one last year. I wore it literally probably every day.
well, I think it's just the idea
I even
of,
got stopped on the street.
what was this one? Which jacket is it?
The Harris Tapper one.
What is it? What color?
It's like a black like tuxedo jacket.
Oh,
and
the
I got
long
stopped
one.
on the street and this girl was like, what brand? Like, where's your jacket from? And I was like, Harris Tapper. And she's like, what? Couldn't understand my accent. I was like, Harris Tapper. And like showed her the label. She's like, okay, cool, bye. Yeah, I was like, oh, sorry. Not.
I want to get stopped on the street.
Yeah, it was quite, I did feel quite, I get nervous. I'm like, ah.
Oh goodness. Okay.
Goodness,
I think maybe I just need to do a bit of a narrow down of like where I can find really good vintage in London.
And I think it's also like remember it as a spectrum. You know, you don't have to be always buying high quality pieces that are going to last a lifetime or only buying fast fashion and feeling guilty about it, but that's all you can afford. Yeah, if there's something like a handbag or sneakers or a jacket that you're going to be wearing all the time that you really, really love, buy it because the cost per wear.
Unless you're Sophie Hallwright and you'll leave your shoes outside the gym and have forgotten them and lost them and then someone else.
I'll just buy you 1,000 AirTags, babe.
I was looking at AirTags yesterday thinking, I wonder if, because I've just got a bike, I'm wondering if I can
Absolutely.
shove an AirTag down the cylinder of something,
Strap it on with some sellotape.
No, because if someone steals it, then they see the AirTag, they'll rip it out. But if it's inside the bike, then I can just constantly be finding it. That was my plan.
Yeah, good idea.
Can't do that with every piece of clothing. Imagine if on my phone there was just
sew it into the seam.
It's actually not a bad idea. Maybe I should do that.
Yeah, just take it to the alterations and be like, right, I've got 1,000 AirTags. Can you please just, how much to sew this in every? That would be like, I don't think you'd be the first person.
It's actually a genius idea. Like with really expensive things, sunglasses you can't exactly attach.
They need AirTag stickers that aren't
small
so
ones.
Chunky.
They're a great
Come on,
idea.
Apple. Can I have my sunglasses back, please?
I was going to say, can I borrow them for the day? But let's be honest, you won't get them back. Yes, you could have them back.
When AirTag invents that sticker, you can borrow my clothes.
Thank you.
I do know what you meant. Like, I put them on in the lift as I was coming up the lift, and I was like, take them off quick before the doors open. Don't want someone to come into the lift and you're like, hi.
I don't know. I'm kind of like, sometimes I love the idea of just leaning into being like a bit.
People thinking you're famous.
Yeah, like fun.
I reckon if I wore a hood, sunglasses, and had like 2 big bodyguards stand next to me at the airport, do you reckon people would think I'm famous?
I thought you were about to say, would people think I'm Kendall Jenner?
I mean, I would be.
Vic's been told once or twice before that she looks like Kendall Jenner, and she has never forgot. By the way, before we started this podcast, you said,
"Oh, I'm going to get my hair. I'm going to the hairdresser. Hence why I have to leave right now."
What are you getting done?
So I want.
Wait, what? Oh my God, is it
I
Kendall
want
Jenner?
to go a bit purple, but I don't think I have the balls.
Yes, do it. Like, show
What
me.
if I have an important meeting
Wait,
and I
can
turn
you
up with
just
purple hair?
How purple? How purple?
So Dua Lipa.
Like,
purple.
wait, can you tilt it? Oh, it will look so good. It's not purple, it's like slightly red. Yes, actually.
But am I just trying to look like Dua Lipa?
Wait, look at me.
I think I'm just trying to look
Let's
like Dua
see.
Lipa.
Look, face the screen to me. I reckon that would look so good on you.
I feel like the hairdresser might be like,
I think it'll be expensive.
I know.
And the upkeep might be quite a lot.
Well, I think I'll just do it once.
And if you like it.
For a couple months and then woo.
Because you've got the same eyebrows and skin tone as her. I'm actually serious. I think maybe we have a Dua Lipa on our hands.
Well, we'll TBC.
How much do you think it
if
will be?
I turn up tomorrow with the same hair, just
do you know
shorter.
what I would love to know? Ask how much your normal hair cut color is, and then I want to know what the difference is. Yeah. Because I feel like they'll have to strip your hair and then color it.
I know, and I don't want that. So I'm like, maybe if you could just.
But you've never done anything fun with your hair. Like, why not just go a bit all out? Oh, I'm so excited.
No, I won't. I'll come back. I'll come back with just a trim.
P.S. 11 on a Friday. She's like, see ya. Gonna go spend 5 hours at the hairdresser's.
I know.
Okay.
Because I don't work weekends. Bye.
Bye.
Before we go, let's talk about making your wardrobe maybe a little bit kinder to the planet, shall we?
Yes, I think that's a stunning idea. Honestly, I would love for this to be something that we all do. It shouldn't be that hard, but sometimes it is. And so the fact that Remi Marketplace has now popped up is incredibly exciting. You can get pre-loved items that actually make you look and feel good.
Like some of the stats are wild. Like buying secondhand instead of new can save up to 700 gallons of water. That's like skipping laundry for a year.
Do you know what I think? I think if we all knew those things when we were buying secondhand, it would be so much more incentivizing. Like if you knew that's how much good it was doing, it's a no-brainer.
So next time that you are tempted by doing a little fast fashion haul, why not head to Remi Marketplace instead? Because I guarantee you'll find something unique. You'll be saving the planet and you'll probably be saving some cash too.
Start shopping sustainably. Look cool in the process. The planet and your wardrobe will thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to Raising the Curve. These conversations are designed to teach you everything you need to know to be better with your money, from saving to investing to talking with your friends about your salaries, all of that stuff.
And if you like what you heard, we would love if you could please hit subscribe wherever you're listening and leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about the episode.
And it only takes 1 second and it would really make our week, our month, our year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So please do it. Okay. Love you.
Bye.